A woman participating in a beauty pageant suddenly disappeared mysteriously on one day during the competition. Disappearing with her was her mother. The girl's father was the last person to see the mother and daughter. He naturally became the police's prime suspect. When everyone thought everything was done by the father, an event occurred that made the truth more obscure. Although the case is very famous in France and attracted close attention and heated discussions from the public, everyone wanted to know whether the disappearance of the mother and daughter was related to the family's patriarch. This is the disappearance case of mother and daughter Allison Benitez. Background and main characters. The story takes place in Perpignan, a city located in southern France. It is situated to the east, bordering the Mediterranean Sea, to the west, bordering the Pyrenees Mountains, and is the capital of the Pyrenees Orientals department in the Languedoc-Roussillon region, now Occitanie. Perpignan is an ancient city with over 1,000 years of history, home to ancient religious buildings, charming villages, and surrounding azure coastlines. This is a famous tourist destination in Europe. Today's story unfolds right here. The main character is Allison Benitez, born in 1994 in Montpellier in southern France. That year, she was 19 years old and lived in a well-off family. Her father was Francisco Benitez, 50 years old, a French military officer of Spanish descent who had served in the French Foreign Legion, Légion étrangère. Her mother was Marie-José Benitez, 53 years old, a homemaker. Allison was a girl who loved beauty very much, dreaming to become a hairdresser. With her cheerful personality, she was pampered by her parents like a precious jewel. The couple never missed any activities related to their daughter and always took meticulous care of her. Allison sometimes played volleyball or watched movies with friends. Whenever her daughter wanted to go out, her father, Francisco, would often drop his work to take her wherever she wanted. At age 18, Allison had an outstanding appearance, tall and slender, and had a stable job as a hairdresser. Participation in the beauty pageant. One day, Allison expressed to her parents that she wanted to participate in a beauty pageant. From childhood, she had dreamed of becoming a shining star on the screen. Her parents naturally supported their daughter's idea. Allison took this competition very seriously, so she decided to quit her hairdressing job to focus entirely. Girls who smile often have good luck, and with her outstanding appearance, Allison was highly rated for potential by the organizers. She received support from many people and became one of the most popular contestants. The competition she entered was a local event called Miss Roussillon. Roussillon is part of the former Languedoc-Roussillon region in southern France. The top winning contestants would represent the locality in the Miss Languedoc-Roussillon competition, and then the National Miss France. As a newcomer, Allison achieved high rankings in previous competitions, including 4th place in a related event. After that, she got many commercial photo shoot opportunities, and her star dream was gradually becoming reality. A year later, 19-year-old Allison won runner-up in a local competition related to Miss Roussillon. A few months later, the new Miss Roussillon competition began, scheduled for August 11, 2013. Allison's parents were always her steadfast supporters. They helped their daughter control her weight, maintain her form, and perform necessary exercises before the competition. The whole family prepared thoroughly for this year's competition, with the goal of winning the championship. But right before the competition day, on the afternoon of July 14, 2013, Allison suddenly disappeared mysteriously along with her mother, Marie-José. What happened that day, and what secret lies behind the disappearance? The mysterious disappearance. Next, let's rewind time to July 25, 2013. July 25, 2013 was a Thursday. Early that morning, a man and a woman arrived at the Perpignan police station. The man was Francisco, 50 years old. He reported that his daughter and wife, 19-year-old Allison and 53-year-old Marie-José, had been missing for 11 days and could not be contacted. He hoped the police would help investigate. The woman standing beside Francisco at the station was Marie-José's daughter from a previous marriage, named Lydia. Lydia said her mother sent a message at 5:17 p.m. 11 days ago, with the content, "I've made a difficult decision, but it's better this way. I'm going to Toulouse with Allison." After that, she couldn't contact her mother anymore. In fact, a week earlier, on July 17, Allison's friend named Alexandra had come to the station to report. Alexandra told the police that Allison left home on Sunday morning, July 14, to go to Canay Plage in the east for a pre-competition rehearsal for the Miss Roussillon beauty pageant. That year, there were 12 contestants, and before the official competition, each had to participate in weekly learning and performance activities. After that morning's rehearsal, Allison said her father Francisco would pick her up in the afternoon to go home. The next day, she had other activities to attend, so she needed to prepare. That afternoon, many staff saw Allison get into her father's car. Some even encountered them at a nearby supermarket. But the next day, Allison did not appear at the activity. This surprised the organizers as Allison took the competition very seriously and would never miss any session. They tried contacting Allison, but the phone didn't connect. Then they contacted her friend Alexandra, but he also couldn't reach her. The phone was always in no answer mode. The next morning at 10:30, Alexandra still couldn't contact Allison, so he worried and went to her house. The 3-story house is located in the Jean Ricard area northwest of Perpignan. He knocked on the door, but no one answered. As he was about to leave, an upstairs window opened and a naked man stuck his head out with water still not dried on his body, looking like he had just showered. That person was Allison's father, Francisco. Alexandra below said he hadn't been able to contact Allison for 2 days, so he came to check if she was home. Francisco from above said his daughter Allison was with her mother, Marie-José. 2 days ago, they went to Toulouse, a city 200 kilometers northwest of Perpignan. Francisco said, perhaps the mother and daughter wanted to enjoy their vacation better, so they turned off their phones. Alexandra felt something strange at that moment. His intuition told him something bad had happened to Allison. Since participating in the beauty pageant, Allison frequently updated on Twitter and Facebook every day. But from July 14, 2 days ago, she hadn't updated anything. Alexandra went home tossing and turning, unable to sleep, thinking more and more that something was wrong. The next morning at 10:30, Alexandra still couldn't contact Allison, so he worried and went to her house. The 3-story house is located in the Jean Ricard area northwest of Perpignan. He knocked on the door, but no one answered. It wasn't until 8 days later, when Francisco and his stepdaughter Lydia came together to report, that the police confirmed the mother-daughter disappearance. Initial investigation. Francisco said his marital relationship was not good. They had been separated for a long time, though living under the same roof but in separate rooms. On July 14th, Francisco had a big argument with his wife, Marie-José. After that, his wife took a suitcase and left the house with daughter Allison. At first, Francisco thought his wife was angry, so the mother and daughter would stay out a few days and return. But later he discovered their personal belongings had been taken. From his stepdaughter Lydia's mouth, he learned the mother and daughter went to Toulouse. Francisco added that a week ago, Alexandra came to the house looking for Allison. At the time, he didn't pay much attention, but after waiting nearly 2 weeks without them returning, he tried contacting them multiple times, but couldn't, so he suspected something happened and went to report. After receiving the report, the police immediately tracked the phone signals of Allison and Marie-José. Their last appearance was the afternoon of July 14th. Allison's phone had no calls after leaving the competition site in Canet Plage. Her mother, Marie-José, sent a farewell message to Lydia at 5:17 p.m., then lost contact. The phone signal reappeared early morning on July 15th in the barracks area where Francisco worked, then disappeared. This key information made the police suspect the two missing persons perhaps didn't go to Toulouse. Since Allison and Marie-José both had no driver's licenses, the possibility of them driving away themselves was ruled out. 2.7 kilometers from Allison's house is the Perpignan train station. Investigators checked cameras along the route from the house to the station, but found no trace. Their bank accounts also had no transactions, no signs of activity, no withdrawals, or credit card use. The police had reason to suspect Allison and her mother perhaps didn't go out, but were murdered. 16 days after the disappearance, the police released search information, hoping someone would provide clues. Missing person Allison Benitez, 19 years old, height 1.74 m, slender dilled, brown eyes, light brown hair, wearing blue jeans and black tank top at the time of disappearance. The other missing person, Marie-José Benitez, 53 years old, height 1.67 m, wearing black clothes at the time. Allison was a local beauty star. Her and her mother's disappearance caused a stir. Local media began tracking and reporting. The family mobilized friends to search streets and forests in Perpignan, distribute flyers, post notices, ask passerbys. Friend Alexander posted related information online, hoping to find the mother and daughter. In France, tens of thousands of disappearances occur annually, some voluntary. Suspicion directed at the father. With deeper investigation, a series of Francisco's behaviors made the police suspicious. They focused on him. According to the investigation, Francisco had a mistress named Emily Secunda, 39 years old, a security officer at the French consulate in Barcelona, Spain, married with 2 children. 3 months before the disappearance, she and Francisco had a romantic relationship. 2 days before the disappearance, Francisco went to Barcelona to stay with his mistress. When this clue was revealed, Francisco made the front page of almost all media. Some media thought Allison accidentally learned of her father's affair, told her mother, leading to an argument. Then the father accidentally killed the mother, and to cover it up, killed the daughter too. With more and more media reports, the matter spread throughout France, becoming a topic of conversation. Unexpectedly, Francisco was linked to another case. A person from Nimes, in the south of France, reported that his sister, Simone de Oliveira Alves, disappeared 9 years ago on November 29, 2004, with no conclusion. He suspected it wasn't an accident. Simone was pregnant with her boyfriend's child at the time of disappearance, and the boyfriend was none other than Francisco. Simone was Brazilian, 28 years old at disappearance, divorced, caring for 4 children. She worked at a bar in Nimes, met Francisco when he was assigned there. They dated and lived together. Then one day, Simone entrusted her 4 children to relatives, then mysteriously disappeared after an argument. At that time, Francisco told police Simone argued with him before leaving home, taking almost all assets. He even showed police messages from Simone saying she wouldn't return. The Simone case resembled the Allison mother-daughter case, but there was no evidence linking the two, though police reopened the investigation for kidnapping and illegal detention. Search and new evidence. 18 days after the disappearance, police went to Francisco's house. Francisco was emaciated at that time, very different from his previous burly image. After permission, investigators entered the house. The house was cleaned as if thoroughly cleaned. They found passports of Allison and Marie-José, ruling out the possibility of them leaving the country. 4 days after the house check, an unexpected event occurred. On the morning of August 5, 2013, at 7 a.m., in a barracks in Perpignan, a soldier going to the bathroom made a shocking discovery. In the bathroom, a rope was tied at one end to a pipe on the ceiling, the other end extending out the window. The soldier stuck his head out and looked down, seeing Francisco in uniform, deceased. Estimated to have happened at dawn when everyone was sleeping. The scene had Francisco's suicide note claiming the wife and daughter's disappearance had nothing to do with him. He was innocent, couldn't endure the criticisms, so he ended his life to prove his innocence. Additionally, Francisco left a video filmed the day before, assisted by stepdaughter Lydia, and posted online. In the video, Francisco had white hair, scruffy beard, looked exhausted, cheeks sunken, as if he lost over 10 pounds. With a heavy Spanish accent, he affirmed his innocence, trembling as he said, "We are a family like any other family with highs and lows. Those who truly know me, Allison is my life. Now there are many uncertainties. My head is full of thoughts. I endure, but I'm about to explode." At the end of the video, Francisco emphasized hoping his wife and daughter would be found soon. Lydia in the video choked up multiple times, not believing her stepfather was involved, thinking he was wronged. Before suicide, Francisco also sent emails to friends, saying he was in pain. Francisco's past. Francisco Benitez was born in December 1963 in Algeciras, Spain. His father was a medical assistant, mother a homemaker, family had 4 children, Francisco the youngest, so pampered. For some reason, life changed. Parents sent him to a Catholic boarding school in Ceuta, across the Strait of Gibraltar from Algeciras, bordering Morocco. Until his 20th birthday, Francisco was brought back to Algeciras. At 23, he joined the Spanish Army. A year later, he crossed the border, joined the French Foreign Legion as a private. This force has soldiers from 150 nationalities. At 25, while on duty in Marseille, southeastern France, Francisco met Marie-José, a bar waitress at the port, a single mother with 4 children. Francisco often visited the bar just to see Marie-José, bringing snacks and toys for the children, so they liked him and called him Dad. Later they lived together. Marie-José became pregnant with Allison. Francisco loved the girl very much. They lived happily in Marseille, but not married. 9 years later, at 37, Francisco was sent to Nimes, northwest of Marseille. There he met 23-year-old Simone de Oliveira Alves, also a single mother with 4 children. Francisco was attracted by Simone's lively personality, started living in 2 places, but the 2 women didn't know each other. This double life lasted 7 years. Then, one day, Marie-José learned of Francisco's affair. They argued fiercely. The relationship with Simone also cracked, often arguing. In November 2004, Simone was hospitalized for illness, possibly miscarriage or suicide after being beaten by Francisco, disappeared a few days later. 2 days after Simone's disappearance, Francisco returned to Marie-José, promising not to repeat. Marie-José forgave him. 2 years later, they married. At 47, Francisco was promoted, moved the family to Perpignan. Christmas 2 years later, Allison checked her father's phone, discovered his affair with someone named Dolores, and told her mother. Marie-José learned, argued big with Francisco, even demanding divorce. Francisco was angry at his wife, saying the reason for the affair was his wife hadn't had marital relations for over a year. After that, Francisco moved out to the barracks to avoid arguments, only returning when his daughter missed him. He cut ties with that mistress. A year later, while working in Spain, Francisco met new mistress Emily Secunda, 39, married with 2 children. Francisco planned to divorce his wife, leave France, to Spain to live with the mistress. Events after the disappearance and suicide. 3 months later, he argued with his wife again in France. Then the mother-daughter disappearance occurred. After the incident, Francisco behaved normally, as if nothing happened. Even 5 days later, he brought Mistress Emily home for a night. A week later, under pressure from his wife's relatives, Francisco went to report the disappearance. He told Lydia he argued with his wife, so she took the daughter to Toulouse, and if something happened to them, he didn't want to live. Half a month after the disappearance, that evening, Francisco asked Lydia to help film a video to post online. In the video, Francisco affirmed the disappearance of daughter Allison and wife Marie-José had nothing to do with him. He didn't deserve public defamation. He wanted to end his life to prove innocence. At 10 p.m., Francisco went to a relative's house, saying he lost the will to live. The relative worried and wanted to keep him, but he refused. Midnight, he returned to the barracks. At 3:30 a.m., he called Mistress Emily, saying he was exhausted. To reassure, Francisco sent a photo to Emily. Shortly after, Emily worried and called back, begging him not to do anything impulsive. Francisco cried on the phone, repeating that Allison was everything to him. Anyone who knew him knew how much he loved Allison. After the call, at 4 a.m., Francisco committed suicide in the barracks bathroom. 3 days later, Emily received a package Francisco sent before death, inside a purple scarf and handwritten note. "You'll understand later. I love you, Emily." Emily didn't understand Francisco's action when they were about to start a new life, but he left, making her regretful and sad. Emily always believed Francisco was innocent, but the police didn't think so. They continued collecting evidence of Francisco's crime. Evidence and police speculations. Back to 3 days after the disappearance, Francisco suddenly moved the home refrigerator to the barracks. He invited a comrade to help move it. The comrades saw bloodstains in the sink at Francisco's house. After that, Francisco bought many disinfectants and corrosive products at the store. From disappearance to reporting, several days apart, theoretically he had time to commit the crime and clean the scene. 5 days after disappearance, when Emily came to the house, she smelled an unpleasant odor as if coming from outside the window. Francisco said the smell was from the neighbor's trash bin. Police thought the smell came from the first-floor garage, perhaps the primary crime scene. They speculated Francisco hid the wife and daughter in the crawl space under the garage. Police did luminol tests in the garage with glowing reactions. Note, luminol glowing doesn't necessarily mean blood. Bleach can also cause it. The garage floor had a trap door leading to the crawl space, but around and inside there was no evidence. Under the crawl space was a septic tank, explaining the foul smell. In other parts of the house, luminol also reacted. Investigators took micro blood samples from under the bed foot in the bedroom, testing belonging to Allison, possibly blood or traces. End of August, police went to Francisco's barracks to inquire. A soldier said last month nearly 30 bed sheets disappeared from the barracks. End of July, many saw Francisco washing rugs and blood-stained sheets in the barracks laundry room. Francisco explained it was from thawing meat. Blood stuck to the sheets. Investigators believed the missing sheets were used to wrap body parts. From the barracks washing machine and the refrigerator Francisco moved from home, they took detergent samples and DNA testing belonging to Allison, possibly blood or traces. According to Francisco's car records, from disappearance to suicide 3 weeks, the car traveled 5,000 kilometers. Via Francisco's phone positioning, police saw he appeared multiple times at night in the seaside resort area of Leucate, near Perpignan. After that, police searched the area for 3 days, including pine forests, lakes, and beaches, but found nothing. They guessed Francisco threw the wife and daughter into the wastewater tank of the area's treatment plant, using chemicals to dissolve. Testing the wastewater tank found no evidence. Technicians checked Francisco's computer, discovering he was a master of time management. Francisco, besides his wife, had many mistresses, often frequented nightclubs. Other related cases. In areas where Francisco once worked, besides Simone's disappearance, there were 2 cases suspected related to him, though no official evidence. Victim Sandra Martin, 21 years old, Brazilian, mother of 2. Evening of January 1999, argued with husband, said going to hotel to stay, left home in Tarascon San Ariege, then disappeared. 2 months later, a fisherman found her body a few kilometers from home in the river, confirmed as Sandra. Forensic concluded drowning. Sandra's husband was suspected of murder, but court acquitted. After that, Sandra's husband investigated, concluding possible accidental drowning or suicide, but he didn't believe. Sandra had a friend named Simone, and Simone's boyfriend at the time was Francisco. In 1999, Francisco was stationed at Castelnaudary, Aude, only over an hour's drive from Sandra's home in Tarascon-sur-Arry. Some thought Sandra's fate was related to Francisco. Another case, May 2009, on the A9 highway, a Brazilian woman was killed in a caravan while seeing clients. Neck with strangulation marks, died of asphyxiation. At that time, Francisco was in a nearby barracks. Despite police efforts, the case remains unsolved. 3 young Brazilian women met misfortune in the area, all somehow related to Francisco, but to this day, no one has been prosecuted. With Francisco's death, the truth can't be verified. Conclusion and remaining mysteries. Regarding whether Francisco was involved in his wife and daughter's disappearance, police, based on evidence at the victim's home, thought the possibility he killed and disposed high, and closed the case as double murder. In response, Francisco's mistress and Lydia said the micro blood stains in the washing machine were perhaps accidentally from clothes, nothing strange. They always believed Francisco was innocent, so he committed suicide in indignation. To this day, Allison and Marie-José's disappearance remains a mystery. No one knows where they went, if they're still alive, and no bodies found. The Miss Rousselling competition Allison participated in ended on August 11, 2013. Allison had a friend who was runner-up in the previous competition, also participating this year. But on September 10th, after the competition ended, she was found to have committed suicide at home, reason unknown. That time was nearly 2 months after the mother-daughter disappearance, over a month after Francisco's suicide. Even stranger, that year's champion, Norma Julia, was stripped of her crown a few days later due to a nude photo scandal. Looking at the whole story, many believe the culprit is Francisco, because so many coincidences concentrated on one person. He had motive, time, reasonable logic. But if removing emotional factors from pure rationality, the evidence seems insufficient to prove Francisco the culprit. The court also never concluded who the culprit was. If relying only on inference can change views, is there a possibility Francisco was related to previous cases, but the mother-daughter disappearance wasn't caused by him? Allison at that time was in the beauty pageant, attracting attention, very serious and hopeful to win. But she accidentally learned the dark inside of the competition, told her mother, leading to both being murdered. After the incident, public focus was only on Francisco, exactly what the real culprit wanted. The culprit exploited Francisco's marital conflict to pin the blame, then completely escaped. If so, this is truly a perfect crime.